Hi, Luminaires. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day today. My name is Jamie Butler. I'm the Everyday Medium. It is my passion and drive in this incarnation to explore teaching the subtle light energy ways. So, taking what is weird, wild, outside of the box and normalizing it. My catchphrase is it's not woo woo, it's true, true. So if you're here, thank you so much for being present. Today is just kind of off the cuff. I didn't let anybody know I was doing this. I wanted to sit down and talk about my style of how I communicate with spirit. But first of all, I've got somebody tapping at my ankle. Who's this? Oh, this is Nacho, guys. He's the kitty cat that I've been taking care of. I'm fostering 7 kittens right now from they were 2 to 3 weeks old when we picked him up. Now they're around 5, 6 weeks, doing great. So they're going to join our live stream today. It's going to be interesting. They are up for adoption if anybody's looking for a kitty cat. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, hi, Loomies. Hey, Dan. Hi, Dee. Hi. Do I say Akila? B24. It's nice to see you. Hi, Lillian. Oh, wonderful. Hi, Jamie Bailey from Louisiana. It's good to have you. Oh, good morning, Sabrina. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Tony. Dee, we are past the bottle feeding and we are on to the weaning phase, which is very nice. So it's easing my night up. We only have to feed every 5 hours now instead of every 2. It's a big difference. Jamie's like, how are you handling the heat? As you can tell, hair is up, sweating profusely, just wearing t-shirts and chilling out. It is just interesting, but being a Florida girl, that is going to help a lot. Used to the heat. So let's get into it. The style, I'm going to talk about my style, and I would love if you are listening and you have ways that you like to communicate with spirit, put your fingers to the keyboard, share. It is my belief that no matter where we are on our path, we're all learning from each other. So if you want to take the time to share how you're perceiving or reading subtle light energy or engaging with spirits or communicating to them, it's helpful for somebody else and myself when we're reading it in the chat thread. So this is our community. Let's fill it up. I've got another visitor. They're climbing the chair. Who's this? This is, I call her Church Mouse. It's Church because she squeaks and doesn't meow yet. It's freaking adorable. You gonna squeak for us? You just want me to hold you? Okay. My style, they are photobombing. My style of communicating to spirit is more casual. So when I started out, I don't know if everybody has heard of my stories. I'm just going to fill in some gaps to let you know kind of how I've landed, where I've landed, and how I communicate. So growing up, I have been able to see and hear spirit. And I've been doing that from a very young age. It was everything that I remember I could do. And I really had the idea that everybody else saw life the same way. I did not see myself as different, unique, special, none of that. And I still don't. I believe that if I was able as a child to do these things, then that means that our bodies or our instruments are made to be played or expressed in that way. Now, I will say, since I was young and I didn't have a teacher, didn't know any different, that he's playing mountain goat, that the way that I developed my gift or ability is that when I saw light energies, subtle light energies, spirit, I perceived them as a person because in my human life, that's how I did it. I was here, I met a stranger, I stuck out my hand, I said, yes sir, no sir, nice to meet you. And when I started perceiving light and spirit, I addressed it the same way. I would say, hi, nice to meet you. Who are you? It just fell into place the way that my parents were rearing me was the way that I was engaging with spirit and ghosts at the same time. And just like I can, as a kid, would hear people talk to me or about me, I made it very external. I didn't when we're human, we don't telepathically communicate commonly. I do say we do that quite a bit, but commonly, when I was raised, they would call my name and I would hear it with my ears, and then I would process it on the inside, and then I would react to it. So, you are worrying me. Why don't you come on down? When I would hear them call me, I then took that to how that's the way spirit would communicate to me. So I would externalize their sound and I wouldn't process it internally. Now, I think I'd love to hear from you if when you engage with spirit, if you hear them, do you hear them internally or do you hear them externally? So for the longest time in my career, it was all external until I started communicating to multidimensionals, and they just spoke in such a different way. And that was more of an internal alert system, which was quite a surprise. That created a little bit of adjustment time for me. Then when I got into using spirit communication as a way for a kid, it was a way to not be lonely. It was a way to learn because they would sit and educate me and teach me. And it was all based in the love and connection to plants, trees, my surroundings, to animals, to other people. It was nothing that would ever terrify me. It's nothing that ever scared me. It was very supportive. And I enjoyed, not being alone as a kid. And they would play games with me. You can talk to my mom about this, Joyce, if you want to chime in. I'd play hide and seek, and she said it looked like I was just playing by myself. I'd play tag in the yard and just run from them and hide under the bed and in closets. They could find me. They're dead. They can find me, but they would act like they can't, and they would play with me. It was very supportive and safe. So I believe that I developed my style of communicating to spirit as a child to fit my humanness. I made them very external. I heard them with my ears. I saw them outside of me with my eyes. And that brought me comfort. That was the way that I could understand what I was doing. And that was kind of the natural boundary that was set between all of it. And that didn't change in probably till my early 30s, mid 30s, when I started communicating to multidimensionals. So I'm going to check in with you guys. And I was just reading. Wait, where'd it go? Lillian says, I'm having a visual disturbance, a light show that I don't understand. It feels like a download and sometimes comes with a headache or a migraine. Well, if you're having two of those symptoms, which often pair together, because that could be an ocular migraine that creates the light shows or even a kaleidoscope thing, I would try, when you're getting visuals of that nature that are sporadic and don't really have a storyline to it, like it's not followed up with something else, or you're not getting a message. Maybe you feel like you're getting a download because it is an actual tension headache or an ocular migraine. I would approach any kind of flashing lights with headaches with breath work, slow, deep breathing. I would immediately bring all my attention into the space that is hurting or compressing, whether that's my chest coming from anxiety, stress, or worry, my stomach, doing flips or knots, my intestines responding like irritable bowel syndrome to stress. I would bring in my mental awareness on the inside and bathe it with your favorite color. Just think about what your favorite color is at that moment and just see it blooming inside of your body, and just give yourself that frequency. We are color coded when it comes to frequencies. And when we get that hit or we're attracted to a certain color, it's because we're in alignment with it and we could use more of it. And this might offset that ocular migraine and give you the clue, is it really a download? Or is it my body showing some stressor signs? So that can be a quick check-in or manage. Because you're right, there's a big learning curve between, am I having an intuitive experience, or is this my imagination, or am I making something out of nothing? And really, guys, you're climbing the chair again. Hi, church. Yes. Okay. Really, there is everything out there is something. There is not nothing. How's that for a double negative? There is not nothing. Oh my God. But I think you understand what I am trying to convey. Everything has meaning, but it's that check in. Am I blowing it out of proportion? How do I keep that part of my mental body in check, that I am truly perceiving what is going on, or am I personally manipulating it? So, with my style of communicating, um, to spirit, I like to keep it very conversational. And I have filters put in place. I have integrity and concepts embedded in, not concepts, integrity and I'll call them filters again. It's like if you cross the boundary and I'm getting communication thrown at me about that I am doing something wrong, or I am horrible, or I am something that is perceived as not valuable or favorable, then we have got an issue going on, because that's not even the way that I communicate. So sorry I put you down. That's not the way that I communicate to my friends and family. I don't look at you and go, let me tell you all the knots that you are. You're not this and you're not that. You're not great at that. So what's going on? I don't want to be communicated in that way. So if I'm being approached that way, I immediately shut it down. So that's my integrity. Don't come at me with a way that I wouldn't treat my own self or my own friends and family that I love. That's very helpful in keeping your mental mind from blowing something up and making something out of nothing, is to have these healthy check-ins and conversations internally with yourself, because we have many more. You just want to be on my shoulder and it makes me nervous. So please don't jump. Okay? Okay. Maybe we have an agreement. I don't know. Do these mental check-ins because we all have these internal voices that are with us. Some are there for risk assessment. Are you doing the right thing? Are you really safe? Some are there for comfort. Everything is okay. You're all right. Deep breaths. Some are there for guidance. Is that your best choice? Let's try this approach. Like kind of a coaching voice. But we all created those voices inside of our head when we were younger to help us thrive. It's all about us thriving. I guess it's just time to figure out what makes us thrive. For me, that's all based in love. Let's go back and look at some a light show. As a psychic, asks Jingle Bore, are you not interfering with someone's karma by helping them? Will it not have a bearing on you or the person? How does that work? Well, we can think about it in terms like, thank you, Jingle, first of all, for the question. It's very thought out. We can think of it in terms of friendships. When you're with a friend and a friend is in need, or you're giving your opinion or your advice or your suggestions, and they're hearing them and then taking it and shaping it into what they need, they're still responsible for their own actions. They're actually responsible for listening, finding what's valuable to them, having the strength and the courage to try it on and to behave with it, and then to apply it to their life. So it's still all about their own responsibility, and it's not going to interfere with their own growth or work because they're still in control over it. That's how I see readings. When somebody is calling in and having a session with me or wanting to talk to their loved ones, and let's say they're looking for answers, like, give me the answers. And I get all kinds of questions, and they're all important and they're all valuable. And there's not a stupid question out there. When you're brave enough to ask, and I know some of you won't see asking a question as brave because it's very easy for some people, but for others, it is not. And it takes everything to ask a question. When you get an answer, even if it is the most absolute correct answer of all, so be it, or if it is semi-correct, or if it's far off base, you've asked a question, and now you're going to receive, you're open to receiving a frequency back, a response, words, an action, a look, a hug, a touch, whatever it is. It is still that person's responsibility who asked the question to apply that knowledge or information. And it could be so accurate and so on point, 100%. But the person who asked the question isn't necessarily ready to have the answer. So they'll hear it, but it will go over their head or under their feet, or they'll take the information, they'll just kind of store it away and go, yeah, but, and they still, scrounge around and look, which just lets me know that, yes, you're brave enough to ask the question, you're not brave enough to hear an answer, or you just don't want to hear the answer and you're looking for some other response. And that other response, so you're trying to manipulate what's happening, right? Because you're going, yeah, but, do it again, till you get the words that you want, and then you manipulate it into what you want. And then you take that answer because it's what you wanted to begin with. Why didn't Spirit just say that to begin with, right? Because we wanted this, but it wasn't the best outcome for you, but you take it anyways, and you apply it to your life, and you follow through with it. And in hindsight, you look back and you go, that sucked. I wish I would have done the other thing. Why'd Spirit tell me that one? Well, they didn't. You just heard it the way that you needed to hear it, and you applied it to your life the way that you wanted it. So I don't think that we are ever, as psychic readers, intuitive coaches, ever crossing anybody's boundary if they are the one that's showing up and saying, I have a question, because it's always going to be their responsibility to take action or not. And then, there's the whole idea about karma. And I got long speeches about that. I sit and talk to Spirit. I'm like, I don't understand the karma bit, because karma applies that you are doing something right or you are doing something wrong. But yet there is no judgment in the greater, higher frequency world. There's no judgment. So how can there be karma? So karma is self-judgment against something that had done, that maybe you're not proud of, or you want to do it again because you want more connection to it. The other cat is looking for this cat. So in my eyes, there really is no karmic debt. It's just you wanting to repeat lessons or have that experience over again to get more connected to it. Dee shares that our spirit at work comes around often, tugs on our shirts, and communicates into my head. That is Dee's style. I love it. And Dee says, and that's when I'm not thinking of anything. Like, she's not calling it in or nothing. It's brilliant. Go office spirit. And Kim E. Condon is saying she communicates internally. So it is all that universe on the inside. Lillian shares, I mostly get visuals and light smells as well. Oh, it just jumped and scrolled. Andrew says, I hear them internally, but in my own voice, just a little different mannerisms. It's very confusing to know what's my own mind versus them communicating. Rarely external, and it's usually a word or short phrase. Yeah, that's where we get into that. How do I differentiate? Is it my mind? Is it not my mind? And check-ins. And Andrew, I think you nailed it. It's that little different mannerisms, the way that you explained it. That makes all the difference. And often when Spirit's communicating, your internal head is like, I gotta listen. And so it hunkers down, and it's like giving this internal ear, and it's managing the information. When you're generating thought, just like I'm generating words to give to you, I'm not slowing down to listen to them. I'm already connected to them. I know them. I'm just expressing. But when we're getting downloads or we're getting spirit communication and they're using our antenna in our brain, normally we'll slow down and take a hard listen because we're in responsive mode. That's when you know it's spirit. So way to go, Andrew, for figuring that out. Dan, wrapping you with the sweetest of hugs and moments of celebrations as you're sharing your mother passed away a week ago. And the other day, I was listening to a song and I felt my mother's presence the first time since she passed. I wasn't sad, I was overjoyed. She suggested a different song from the same album. And the rest of the day, I was joyous. I sang and danced all day, knowing my mother was with me and able to see my life moving on. I can feel your happiness over here. Yay! And Dan sharing, I don't see or hear spirit, but I feel it empathically. Right? So your whole body is like this satellite dish and it mimics what frequencies are coming in. It will mimic it and play it out in your body like an instrument and let you know what's going on. And then you can take that information and go, all right, this is what is happening. But there has to be that clear. There's that moment where you're like, oh my God, is this my body doing this? Is this mine or is this yours? Mine or yours? And you just have to do those internal check-ins so that we don't fall off on some deep end and see everything as this I don't want to say it like that, but that's how it was coming out of my mouth. We want to do the internal check-ins so we know where we are with spirit message, what we're responsible of. It keeps us responsible in our human body, but it also keeps us in contact of all the magic that's happening around us. Sabrina shares that she no longer sees them, but she did when she was a child. Aw. D, your office spirit. She said, last night I was explaining about a coworker's emergency, and in my head I heard, what's going on? Like the spirit was going to come in and help. You're like, pick up a mop. We have a spill over here. Get to it. Judy is saying hi to everybody and sharing a little small special moment because it's sunny in London right now. Congratulations, London. Oh, wow. Amora has a class idea. How emotions turn to physical disease and how to prevent this. I just found out I have gallstones and most likely due to anemia. My diet is mostly fruits and vegetables. That would be a good class. We could try this. Bee's having some cuteness overload. This one is just passed out with a leg like dangling down and one hanging over. So funny. Hey, church. Good evening from Australia. Hi, Flora. Thank you so much for being here. Dee says, can we get history information from spirits if we ask? And to find out who they are? Absolutely. I got a short story for you if you'd like to hear it. It reminds me of this story. When I first, I opened up the Center for Love and Light and in a building. And this building is a warehouse building. It's huge. And it was built along the railroad. Like I had learned from history that it was an old steel mill and it would produce the steel, put it on the train, and it would be shipped out to Atlanta, like into Atlanta, but it's in Atlanta. And so in this, I started sniffing around. I needed to grow, so I got a new suite, a larger one that was 3 times the one that I was working in, and I needed to renovate it. I had to take some walls down and expand, and I did. And when I did, chaos happened. The paint that I put up on the wall literally peeled off. Fresh new paint on drywall, and it just peeled off. It bubbled up and just fell off. I put new floors. They were these bamboo floors, gorgeous. The bamboo floors buckled off. And I'm talking like a whole foot swell, a swell, like a little mound, a foot tall. So we had fun. We put our roller skates on and like we're skating over the mounds. And it was like these little moguls. And the microwave blew. We had electrical issues. We had leaks. And finally, I was just like, what is happening? And I sat down and I was just exhausted from everything. And this spirit man walked in. Oh, I can't remember his name. Jonathan. And it was a first name for a last name. It was something like very clean and cut. And he would stand up on the loft and he would never come near me. And finally, I sat down and I was like, I see you. I see you. And I go, and if this is you messing with my suite, stop. I'm trying to better the place. And he came down and he told me that I'm ruining it, and I cut it in half. I was like, I didn't cut anything in half. I took some walls down, I made it bigger, but I didn't cut anything in half. And he was saying, this is what it looked like. This is what was happening. He was one of the first workers there, and he worked in the steel mill. He died with an accident in the building. And when I started renovating, that disturbed his energy. And he showed up and he thought he was protecting the building. So I marched down to the owners and I said, you know who I am. You rented to me. I've got an issue. I've got a spirit in my space and I want to kick him out. But my computer is dying. But I don't want him to go into another person's suite. If he's causing this much havoc in mine, I don't want him to be in anybody else's. Got all that while holding a cat. And they were like, well, what's happening? I said, well, he's yelling at me and he's telling me I've cut the building in half. And he's telling me I've ruined it and all these things. She goes, oh my God, I got to show you some pictures. Okay. When they bought the building, it went all the way to the street, to the railroad. They came in and they cut the warehouses in half so they can make a parking lot. Makes sense. So she showed me pictures of when they bulldozed it and they cut it in half. She goes, is this what you're talking about? I was like, oh my God, can I have copies of that? So I took the copies and I put them down in my office. And I said, come here. I want you to look at this. I didn't do this. This is, 2000, what was it, 16? This happened in 2000. This is 15 years later. Where are you from? He gave me years, names, dates, what the building looked like. I could see everything happening. He kind of apologized, but not really. I told him he needed to leave my office, and I secured my space. But unfortunately, he got into the front different suite, caused water damage, smelt like dying death, rot, flesh rot in 3 of the spaces. This is all within a month after I kicked him out. And so the owners came back and they were like, listen, we don't know what you did and we're not blaming you, but can you get him out of the whole building? I was like, well, somebody needs to help him. Like, you need to give me the keys and get permission from everybody so I can sit and help him transition. But he gave his name, his history. It was all traceable. We looked all of it up. So yes, Dee, they can give you everything that you're looking for if they're willing to talk about it and share. You just have to find that certain approach that entices them. It's like having a conversation with a person. If you say something a little bit threatening, they might come back and defend. If you hit the wrong note, you land on the wrong topic and they don't want to talk about it, they'll close down and they'll walk away. So just be aware of what you're sharing, why you're sharing it, what you're asking for, and is that inclusive to them as well? Spirits are people too. You can think about it like that. Amore is sharing she's definitely most clairsentient and claircognizant. So she feels and she knows things with her whole being. She sometimes hear, but it's never super direct. And see, but it's never like super direct. It's always like out of the corner of the eyes. Nice. Oh, I love it when you guys support each other and give out references and share books. It's so helpful. Hey, Bob. You like my John? God, I know his name. I just can't remember it. Maybe it's good. I don't remember it because I don't want to call him back. But we did work with him and we got him into a place where he is happy. This one is just like face down asleep. Oh my God. Who doesn't want a cat that just wants to be held? We turn this down so you got to see the cuteness. Here. Okay. In a few minutes, I need to take off because I have my YouTube channelers and healers support group. So if you're here and you love these conversations and you just want a little bit more of, interaction and engagement, the YouTube membership is a wonderful place to go. I have 3 tiers. The lowest tier is only $4.99, and we do monthly healings or meditation, and we do book clubs. And book clubs we do in another platform so that we can talk to each other and engage with the content. Then the second tier is it $14.99? You gotta help me on prices. This is like a little bit more, and that includes the first tier as well as 2 other additional offerings. And then the highest tier has 2 other additional offerings. The highest tier is where you can ask one-on-one questions to spirit. And we do channelings where they teach you classes or they teach you topics and you engage about that topic, which is really helpful. And of course, Maitland spends her time talking about the energy update and how that affects you personally. So you can ask about the frequencies of the month and how it's going to react to what you have planned for the month, which is pretty cool. Lillian says, I have friendly spirits that like to open and close doors and knock on things or knock things off the shelf that I was able to communicate with. Yes. And B, thank you for saying slam the like if you for Jamie. Okay, I want to do full circle. Let's come back. Style of spirit communication. I brought this up because I want to remind you and empower you to reach out to spirit the way that you are most comfortable. Now, if you find somebody, an author, a teacher, a lecturer, somebody like myself, and you like the way they work, great. Watch their videos, absorb their verbiage and how they work it, but approach it the way that you feel it's best for you. Please don't try to mimic somebody else's style. We're all so different. And I'm hoping that you would find yourself in the presence of a teacher if you're taking classes or workshops that empower you to do that instead of saying, this is the only path to take. It has to be step 1, 2, 3, and you get results. Because when we are working with subtle light energy, this 1, 2, 3 might work for 10% or maybe 25% of the people. I'm making up numbers. It's not going to work for everybody. There's no blanket statement in our awakenment. There's nothing that's a general positive. No, I don't want to say it like that. There's no general statements because we're all doing it so differently. So I hope that you end up empowering yourself and finding yourself in a community or a class that values different approaches. It's something that I cherish. It's something that I felt when I was learning how to master my abilities. I got into classes where the teachers were like, well, why are you doing it that way? You need to do it this way. This way is safe and it's protective. And it was like, oh, well, I want those things. So I'm not going to be a dummy. I'm going to do it this way. And I would do it this way. And it just felt like I was pulling an extra 1,000 pounds behind me to make it work when it was so much easier if I just did it my own way. But I couldn't describe it to anybody. And so I needed the practice of trying on all these different approaches to figure out what I was doing, then I can then talk about it. So I'm going to encourage you luminaires out there that are practicing turning on the lights for yourself, communicating to spirit, subtle light energy, animals, so asleep, to find your own path and find your own style. And yes, if you find the teachers that you love and adore, use what works. Always use what works. Stay in your moment of ease. If you're pushing for something to work, might not be in alignment with you. It just might not be your style. So just pull back. Pull back and find another path. There are so many different paths to this place. Oh, Amora, I need to watch this. Colleen told me that Maitland was holding the kitten. It was interesting to see a spirit holding a kitten through your body. Baja Girl 302, hi. She said, I always wanted to be a medium or a kind of healer. I feel I am, I just don't know how. Oh, Baja. Dive into it. Find it. I like my recommendations, I would start with something like Reiki. And you can take Reiki, which is an energy healing, and that will get you um, into learning about how you engage with energy, but it also gives you a technique to use. And this technique with Reiki also has a lot of freedom around it, which I really appreciate. So you can apply your own style. I am teaching level 1, not this weekend, but next weekend. So if you're interested in putting a toe in, it's a great place to begin, and that might turn on some lights for you and knowing what your next steps are. But I would start with kind of the healing stuff, because through the healing stuff, that mediumship turns on, it activates. But with mediumship, the healing energy doesn't necessarily activate. So I would walk the path of learning the healing first and dive into the mediumship. So I just have a few minutes, but I wanted to read Nigma 9 TWE. Twee. Who is responding to Baja Girl. You need to connect with your guides and make sure you're not taking on what you heal. So, Nigma, I just want to use this statement as an example, and it is nothing about your approach and what you do. So, if we can just separate that, because I appreciate the statement, it is something to think about, because you're right. When there are newbies and they're wide open and they're just receiving everything, then yes, our bodies are a temple and you can take on what you heal unknowingly. But when we are doing the work and we're embedded into subtle light energy, if you take this statement, make sure you're not taking on what you heal, it turns into a belief system that you are always going to take on what you're engaging with, because that is the way that you heal. And it's not well, it's not true if you don't believe in it. So it is a perfect example of how to check in with your belief systems. Do you believe you take on what you engage with? Or do you believe that you can engage with something and then pull out of it and you're completely separate from it? Check belief systems. It's just that was a really good point. Solid. Thank you, Nigma. Yay. And if I want to let you guys know while you're here, if you want to experience a really awesome healing, we're doing something different on the 30th, and it's all about healing to the frequency of love. So Spirit had me choose, or they chose, a YouTube, hi YouTube, 528 hertz frequency that you will listen to as we do the healing. And so that's just going to absolutely take you to the moon. I really hope to see you in that healing class. Well, it's not a class, it's just a healing. You get to show up, you get to relax. I'm going to talk you all the way through it, what I see, what I'm experiencing. And you're going to be, well, no, actually, I'm going to do it afterwards so that you can listen to the music and go to space while we do the work. And then afterwards, I'll walk through all the points. Colleen is the support group on YouTube or Learn It Live. She is the support leader on all of it. She is what makes this whole world work for me. Oh, Jude, I can't wait to see you. All right, I need to sign out so I can sign back into our healers and channelers support group that we have for our YouTube members. Do you want to wake up? You want to wake up and say hi? Say hi, church. Nope, just gonna go back to sleep. How about a little kitten belly? Here we go. Here it is. Oh, pussy kitten belly. Oh, I'm sorry. It was sleeping. Okay. Guys, have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here and just having conversation with me. I hope it sparks you to find your own path and really just embrace this, because it's not woo-woo. It is true. And every style is the right style. And I hope to see you in my world again. I super appreciate it. Oh, also, this weekend from 2 to 4 on Saturday, my Trance Channeling students, we're going to do live streams. Please sign in. If you're a subscriber, you can ask questions and they will be Trance Channeling answers to you. Also on Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon, and that is Eastern Standard Times. Saturday 2 to 4, Sunday, 10 to noon. This is all free. Show up to YouTube, be a subscriber so that you can ask questions to my students. And I'm so proud of them for going online and being able to practice this way. Okay, I will check you later. Take care, everybody. Bye.